Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel MotorVibe_110. The 2026 Aston Martin Vanquish is more than just a car. It is the very embodiment of British craftsmanship, engineering prowess, and automotive passion brought to life in sculpted aluminum, carbon fiber, and roaring horsepower. The moment you see it, you know this is not an ordinary supercar. It doesn't try to scream for attention with exaggerated wings or oversized grills. Instead, it whispers of quiet confidence, of the kind of power that doesn't need to boast. That long, flowing hood, the tightened waistline, and the sharply defined rear are all expertly blended into a form that looks like it was shaped by the wind itself. The new Vanquish is unmistakably Aston Martin but hints at something deeper, more primal. A transformation of soul, from grand tourer to mid-engine supercar warrior. Step closer and the details begin to unfold like pages of an epic novel. The headlights with their ultra-thin LED strips gaze forward like the eyes of a predator. The carbon fiber front splitter seems to slice the air as if preparing for the next attack on the asphalt. Even the side mirrors are sculpted to cut through the wind, minimizing drag while providing a perfect view of the mere mortals trailing behind. Around the back, twin exhaust outlets peak from the aggressively chiseled diffuser, promising to unleash a symphony of mechanical fury with every touch of the throttle. The taillights stretch elegantly across the rear, forming a delicate yet assertive signature that glows with quiet menace at dusk. But what truly defines the 2026 Vanquish is not just the way it looks. It's what lives beneath that impossibly low, beautifully crafted skin. A 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine, tuned by Aston Martin's own engineers, beating fiercely at the core of this machine. Delivering an estimated 700 horsepower to the rear wheels, it launches the Vanquish from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. A masterpiece of mechanical precision, this engine sings the song of power and agility, blending torque and revs into a pure sensory experience that grips the driver and refuses to let go. It's not just the numbers, though they are staggering. It's the way the engine responds to every input. The throttle is alive, almost telepathic, anticipating every wish of your right foot. The 8-speed dual-clutch transmission shifts with brutal efficiency or silky smoothness, depending on your mood. And the chassis, designed from the ground up as a mid-engine platform, transforms the Vanquish into a true supercar capable of carving mountain passes or dominating racetracks with equal ease. Inside, the Vanquish is no less breathtaking. Open the dihedral doors and you step into a cabin that wraps you in leather, alcantara, and carbon fiber. The seats are sculpted to hold you firmly during high-G cornering yet remain comfortable enough for long, luxurious drives along the coast. Every surface has been touched by craftsmen, stitched, polished, and fitted to perfection. The instrument cluster is a digital masterpiece, blending elegance with cutting-edge technology. Behind the leather-wrapped wheel, a customizable display feeds the driver vital information without distraction. The center console rises up to meet your hand, offering an array of touch-sensitive controls, drive modes, and connectivity features. But unlike some of its rivals, the Vanquish refuses to let technology overwhelm the experience. It remains, at heart, a driver's car, designed to focus your senses on the road and the joy of driving. The sound of the Vanquish is something else entirely. This is no muted electric hum or artificial exhaust note. When the engine comes alive, it snarls and roars like an angry beast awakened from slumber. At idle, there's a deep, menacing burble, promising violence. Prod the throttle and the V8 explodes into a feral scream that echoes off canyon walls and tunnels, sending shivers down your spine. The exhaust valves open wide in sport and track modes, letting the full fury of the engine tear through the air. It's not just loud, it's orchestral. A symphony composed of combustion, turbochargers, and perfect tuning. And every crackle and pop on overrun feels like a knowing wink from the engineers, reminding you that this car is alive, dangerous, and thrilling. But the Vanquish is not a beast without grace. Aston Martin has engineered it with a balance of power and poise that few supercars manage to achieve. The steering is razor sharp, communicating every nuance of the road to your fingertips. The suspension, adjustable through multiple modes, adapts effortlessly from comfortable cruising to track-ready stiffness. In its most aggressive setting, the Vanquish corners like it's on rails, the mid-engine layout providing perfect balance and incredible grip. Yet switch to GT mode, and the car becomes a grand tourer again, gliding over imperfections with refinement and ease. It's this duality that defines the Vanquish, brutal performance tempered by gentlemanly civility. On the open road, the Vanquish is pure joy. Drop a gear, floor the throttle, and the V8 responds instantly, hurling you forward with breathtaking acceleration. The world blurs past the windshield as the speedometer needle climbs with relentless determination. But unlike some supercars that intimidate or overwhelm, the Vanquish inspires confidence. It feels predictable, planted, and controllable even at the limit. You become part of the machine, feeling its rhythms, its breath, its pulse. Whether slicing through alpine switchbacks or devouring endless stretches of Autobahn, the Vanquish remains composed, precise, and exhilarating. Aston Martin has also embraced the future without betraying its soul. The 2026 Vanquish includes a full suite of driver assistance features, from adaptive cruise control to lane keeping and collision avoidance. The infotainment system is state-of-the-art, with seamless smartphone integration, a premium audio system tuned to perfection, and an intuitive user interface that minimizes distraction. But unlike lesser cars that drown the driver in screens and alerts, the Vanquish integrates technology with restraint. The car always feels mechanical, connected, and alive. For those fortunate enough to slide behind the wheel, the Vanquish offers an emotional experience unmatched by mere numbers or specifications. There is something almost spiritual in the way this car moves, breathes, and responds. You feel the history of Aston Martin in every curve of the bodywork, every stitch of leather, every note of exhaust fury. This is a car built not just to perform, but to stir the soul. To remind us why we love driving in the first place. It is a celebration of speed, beauty, and passion. Even standing still, the Vanquish commands attention. Parked under the streetlights of a quiet city at night, its presence draws eyes and admiration. The low, wide stance. The flared haunches. The glint of carbon fiber in the moonlight. It is sculpture on wheels, a rolling work of art. But one that can unleash savage power at a moment's notice. There is a sense of purpose in every line and detail. A sense that this car was designed not just to look beautiful but to dominate the road. To conquer corners. To thrill its driver and humble its rivals. Speaking of rivals, the 2026 Vanquish enters a fiercely competitive arena. Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, all have their own interpretations of the mid-engine supercar ideal. But Aston Martin brings something different to the table. An elegance that is uniquely British, a sense of style and grace that others often lack, and a soul that speaks of tradition, craftsmanship, and passion. This is not a car built by committee or market research. It is the vision of designers, engineers, and dreamers brought to life. And in that vision, the Vanquish stands apart. On the track, the Vanquish reveals its true nature. The engine roars, the tires grip, the brakes bite with ferocious strength. Lap after lap, the car remains composed, predictable, and brutally fast. The aerodynamics, carefully honed in the wind tunnel, keep the car stable even at triple-digit speeds. The downforce presses the car into the tarmac, giving the driver the confidence to push harder, brake later, corner faster. The steering feedback is rich and detailed, every input rewarded with immediate response. This is no grand tour pretending to be a supercar. This is the real thing. Yet the Vanquish is not just about speed. It is about sensation. The feel of the leather wheel under your hands. The surge of acceleration as the boost builds. The bark of the exhaust on downshifts. The play of light across the sculpted bodywork as the sun sets. It is about moments. Memories. The time you took it on that perfect mountain road. The late night drive through an empty city. The day you first heard the V8 scream on full throttle and laughed out loud with joy. These are the things that make the Vanquish special. That make it more than just a machine. Aston Martin knows its customers. They are not looking for the fastest lap time or the most extreme performance figures. They are looking for an experience. For a connection. For a car that makes every journey, every drive, an event. The Vanquish delivers that in spades. It is thrilling when you want it to be. Comfortable when you need it to be. And always, always beautiful. There is a timeless quality to the Vanquish. It is modern, cutting-edge, and technologically advanced. But it also feels like a car that could have existed in any era. A shape and spirit that transcends fashion and trend. Like a perfectly tailored suit or a finely made watch, it has a permanence, a weight of history behind it. You sense the lineage of Aston Martin Grand Tourers and supercars in its DNA. The DB4, the DB5, the V8 Vantage. And now, the 2026 Vanquish. A new chapter in the story. Of course, none of this comes cheap. The Vanquish is a rare and expensive machine, built for those who can afford the best. But for those lucky few, it offers something priceless. The joy of driving distilled into its purest form. The thrill of owning something truly special. A car that is not just transportation, but art, passion, and freedom on four wheels. As the sun sets and the world quiets down, the Vanquish waits. Its engine cools. Its tires rest. But you know that inside, the beast is still awake. Still eager. Still ready to explode into life with the turn of a key and the press of a pedal. It is a car that calls to you, that tempts you to take one more drive. One more journey. One more moment of pure, unfiltered joy. The 2026 Aston Martin Vanquish is not perfect. No car is. But in its imperfections, in its rawness, its passion, its refusal to compromise, it becomes something greater. Something unforgettable. It reminds us why we fell in love with cars in the first place. The speed, the sound, the beauty, the sense of freedom and possibility. All of that lives in the Vanquish. In the end, the numbers do not matter. The horsepower, the top speed, the lap times. What matters is how the car makes you feel. How it stirs your heart. How it ignites your imagination. And in that, the Vanquish succeeds beyond measure. It is not just a car. It is a dream made real. A fantasy of speed and power and beauty, brought to life by the hands of craftsmen and engineers who understand that cars can be more than machines. They can be art. They can be emotion. They can be magic. As you stand before it, key in hand, you realize that the Vanquish is waiting. Waiting to be driven. Waiting to be unleashed. And as you slide into the seat, grip the wheel, and hear the engine awaken with a growl, you know that this is not just another drive. This is an adventure. A journey into a world of speed, sound, and sensation unlike any other. The 2026 Aston Martin Vanquish. A supercar for the soul. A machine for the heart. A legend reborn.